I used to collect these perfume samples.
Really?
And like tear them out and then put them in my my drawers like
For
this.
good smelling.
For all my
drawers.
clothes. For my clothes to like smell nice.
But then they all smell like male Ralph Polo.
But it smells nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? This is actually one of my favorite scents.
Wow, that smells very good.
It's funny that this is. So today we are painting. We're painting on these canvases that I already previously drew on, but I'm gonna either erase it or it's just pencil. But we have markers. We have lots of markers, and then watercolor and
acrylic
and oil, and some really tacky brushes and some scissors and a lot of magazines.
Yes.
That we will be cutting out and making abstract art with while we're talking about stepping out of our comfort zone and
this is like one of these self-help
fear,
challenges.
and fear of failure. We're gonna make a dream board all whilst. But I'm gonna wait. I'll just maybe just to like give you a little bit of preface too, so we can talk about this stuff. Talking about like in stepping out of your comfort zone, recognizing sort of like the fear of failure, and then what's like in your and thinking about like what's in your comfort zone versus what's outside of it. So knowing yourself and your strengths and your weaknesses, and then setting goals, and then setting micro goals to accomplish those goals. And then 4.5. I did 4.5, and then 5. And then 4.5 is getting comfortable with discomfort. And then the last part is just do it.
Oh my goodness, this is a lot of topics.
I know, because I think that like some of them will be a lot shorter than others. But first, magazines.
True.
Let me grab maybe a couple.
We
We have a lot of Vogues and Cosmos.
This is.
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like there's a lot of.
This is the only memorable one that I have. It's like, oh my gosh, how many pages
I
is
know.
this?
Because I feel like there's definitely a way to overdo it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look at ones that speak to me. Do you speak to me?
I can ask each picture.
I think that people who like start startups and stuff and have very successful startups are people who always kind of preach to the whole don't be afraid of failure, because like they would never be there if they were. But at the same time, like those people are less prone to being afraid of failure in the first place, I feel like.
Yeah, but I think then you get to a stage where you're really like, if you've not been afraid of failure and you've succeeded and then you've built something, then you're probably really afraid of failure because then you have so much to lose.
I guess it's easier to fail or easier to
Yeah.
fear failure when you have more to lose. But at the same time, like most people who are very successful in their startups have started multiple startups before that. So failed at like 3 startups before they get to their
True.
4th one that is successful.
That's true.
Yeah. And I think even within a successful startup, you probably have failed somewhere along the way, you know? Like I don't think you can get it right.
You've failed, right?
Hmm?
But in any life, startup or not, you've like gone through failure.
Yeah.
Not just professional, but also personal.
Yeah.
Whether it's like
Yeah, for sure.
wanting to befriend someone and that friend not wanting you, or
Yeah, and so we kind of think about like the micro failures with like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, does it matter if you like fail at a hobby? And you're kind of like, oh, you can just joke about like failing at a hobby. Oh, I like this orange. I wish it was in focus.
yeah.
Dang it. I'll just use it anyway.
Oh, that does look cool.
You know what? This is the. I pulled out like 4 from the same spot right here. This is the first one that is not about like girls and relationships, and
It's about books?
it's about books.
What?
I think I like that.
Women can
Oh my
read?
gosh, this is so cool.
Oh,
Look at
that's
little
cool.
spicy.
Okay, so when have you failed?
Oh, ugh,
Ugh.
sad. I think I failed like. This is a good magazine. I keep ripping
Oh.
stuff out. Right?
Pizza. She's so beautiful.
Look at her. Look at her. I mean, I think that like I've failed plenty. I mean, like I even does like getting rejected from a job you know, like
Oh my
counter
God.
failure. I mean, that happens within like emails back to back. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's so easy. But again,
not a
it's-
day has passed in the past 2 months where I haven't received an
where you
rejection.
haven't failed. Exactly. At the end of the day, like, the ultimate endpoint is never going to be failure, because every time you do micro fail, you're gonna, I don't know, for me it's like, well, I'm not gonna give up, like, at this point, you know what I mean? Like, if you're in so deep already, you're almost like more likely, like, I think that's even the mindset for startups and stuff, where it's like, you fail at 3 startups, well, at this point, I'm not
Nothing to
giving up.
lose.
Yeah, exactly. I might as well make a successful startup, right?
Yeah.
It's,
And, like, I know-
it's a learned practice thing.
And I know people say this all the time, but like the whole idea of reframing failure, how like it's not necessarily failure, it's just like something that came to an end.
Reframing? Are you saying
Reframing failure. So say like you start something and then, like for example, your illustration thing. Okay, so say you like really are into it, and then you're applying to a bunch of jobs, and it somehow maybe doesn't work out. And then that could be conceived of as a failure, but it could also just be conceived of as something that like ended.
Ended?
And- yeah.
But does that ending mean that it's like it's like an end of an era, or like, could I continue? Like, should I?
Well, I think that thread has ended. Maybe the idea of like you pursuing illustration at that company. So it's not necessarily.
But not illustration in general, just
No,
illustration.
I mean,
at a
I guess
company.
it depends on whether you want to keep going at it or not.
I just feel like if you like something enough, you will have like the drive to like pursue it. No matter, like, for example, like illustration. If I fail, I fail, I fail, and I still love illustration. I know that's what I want to do. There are opportunities that like at a certain point, like, you will, even if it's for every 10 failures, you get 1 success. Like, that's all you need, right? It's just that 1 success. I think it's like when you talk about, have you heard of the analogy, I'm going to butcher this, but like, of a salesman who walks up to people's doors for like a month, so like 30 days, right? And say his like sales percent yields, or like the rate, I don't know what I'm talking about, the rate at which he like
Business.
gets sales is like, what, 20%? So it's
Yeah.
like 1/5, so it's like 6 sales, right? And most of the sales, so say within the first 3 weeks, he probably gets like 1 or 2 sales. Most of the sales are like at the end, so day 27, 28, 29, 30, he'll get like 4 out of 6 of those sales on those last 4 doors he knocks. But it's not evenly distributed. Like, success isn't evenly distributed
Do you
throughout
think-
time.
Because you improve your strategy or your work.
Exactly.
And then, yeah.
Exactly. You improve upon like your pitch.
Yeah,
You know what
true.
you know where to go. Like, you know what neighborhoods now to go to. You narrow it down, and like, you know what works, what doesn't work. And so that's where, like, if you quit at the beginning because you're afraid of failure, and you've already gone through all the failure, like, you're never going to see anything. And I think that's the same thing for startups too. It's like, now that you failed 3, you know what works for a startup, what you're supposed to do, like the whole process, the timeline, everything. That's when you start to succeed, is like learning from your failures, essentially. It's like the old cliche, right? Like, what's in your comfort zone? Okay, let me rephrase this. I guess, like, for you personally, and then also in general, like, what's in your comfort zone, and then what's outside of it, and how do you, like, realize that? Like, basically, like, knowing yourself and your own strengths and weaknesses. Like, do you feel like you know yourself?
Wait,
Sorry,
2 seconds.
that went like whoosh.
Not at all. No, I don't think I know what I'm good at and what I'm bad at.
Okay.
Slash,
At all?
I sometimes think I'm like I sometimes think I'm better than average at something, and then it turns out I'm not. Or I sometimes.
For example?
sometimes think- Precision, I like it. Okay, this is a good example. So I spent the past year in Hungary doing journalism stuff,
Right.
and I like really like journalism stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually think I'm better than average at journalism stuff. So like talking to strangers, getting cool stories,
from people.
Yeah, I would
like
agree.
befriending people in a way that like make them open up a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think I know what good content looks like.
Right.
Now, I don't think I'm as good as like structuring the story as I thought. Like, for example, I have this like topic, and someone's like, okay, what's the question you want to ask? And then I'm like, it's just a cool topic we need to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always, and then the question is always, well, what's the question you're asking? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like, don't really know necessarily how to like why I would be pursuing this given project. Like, there was this one project I wanted to do in Romania, in this like village, and there was this anthropologist I wanted to work with who had written a bunch about this village, and I wanted to track the lives of this gypsy guy, this farmer, and this priest, and try to see how like different power dynamics shape your position in the village.
Right.
And I think ultimately it is, and I think I was good at making the connections and having people be okay with me like hanging out at their houses and filming.
Yeah.
But then I didn't really know what questions I wanted to answer. I didn't really know what story I wanted to make, and I feel like that's the most important part of being a journalist. And I actually don't
Well, did you
think
do it?
Well, then the quarantine came, and I had to leave the
Oh,
country.
okay. Well, I think that a lot of actually documentaries are just people carrying, like not a lot, maybe some unstructured, but I think I told you, I used to know this guy who made documentaries, and what he just did was carry his camera around for an entire year, and then you develop a story through that. Like, so halfway through the process, he was like, oh, this is kind of what I want to center. Like, I mean, the stories can really take a turn, you know?
That's true.
The reason I asked you in the beginning is that a lot of the things that you might think, like, oh, you're not so good at, might be hard skills, and it sounds like they could be, you know, like structuring a story and stuff like that.